All right, I think that's my cue, isn't it? The last time we tried this, the sound went back on before we were finished. So let's get started quick here, and hopefully we'll get the entire news conference in before the atmosphere changes. But Dan, thank you very much for having us out here and for hosting us. I don't know what kind of a weekend you all had last weekend, but I had a great weekend. All my grandkids were in town, and among the things we did was to take individual trips with each grandchild. And the boy named Tillman, I took down to Richardson County, Nebraska, where all of our side of the family lived, and we showed him where everybody lived, and we showed him the farms. And you know, we got talking about how long stewardship, not quite in those technical terms, but being able to be out among the farms and to see what stewardship meant in the countryside and what it meant in the past and what it has meant to Nebraska then and now emphasizes how that has been a part of our heritage for all of our 150 years of existence. I spent a lot of time personally on my grandparents' farm in Richardson County, and that experience instilled all of us with the idea of stewardship, with the idea of responsibility, with the idea that we needed to pass the land in good shape and good condition to those who came after us, that was all just a part of being a good citizen. And living in cities doesn't change that responsibility to be good stewards. We have to practice conservation in urban areas to pass along to our kids a healthy and productive community. It's simply and clearly the right thing to do. That's why my administration is working with the community to develop a plan. The Lincoln Environmental Action Plan is how we come together as a city and make the same commitment to be good stewards of the land as did the generations before us. If we can increase recycling, if we can keep our water and air clean, if we can preserve our natural resources and reduce emissions that harm our natural environment, our local environment, we will have a great legacy to pass on. But you don't develop a great legacy without developing a plan, and that's why the Lincoln Environmental Action Plan describes strategies for actually improving outcomes related to 5 different environmental areas: to energy, to land use, to transportation, and to waste and to water usage. In order to know where you should go, you need to know also where you have been. And that's why the plan has a report contained within it on our environmental progress. And I think we would all agree we have much to celebrate. Nearly 50% of our community's electricity comes from renewable energy sources. LES, Marilyn, thank you for all your work over the long years with LES and other environmental matters. City operations are creating energy from waste at our landfill. A year-round hazardous waste materials facility has now been built and will soon be in operation. Greenlight Lincoln is already using smart technology to move traffic more efficiently, saving energy and reducing vehicle emissions. And nowhere is our progress more evident than here at Innovation Campus. Dan Duncan and the university has worked with us, and together we've built the Central Renewable Energy System partnership between the city and the university, and it's providing state-of-the-art heating and cooling in an innovative and sustainable manner across Innovation Campus. Past action is great, But to reach our new goals, we have to keep pushing forward. The centerpieces of the Lincoln Environmental Action Plan are 13 different action strategies that will help us reach achievable environmental goals for energy, land use, transportation, waste, and water. The plan also profiles 4 Lincoln businesses that are currently practicing environmental sustainability because it makes economic sense. The profile on Lincoln Industries, for example, says the company's investment pays back in the form of a triple bottom line: environmental, social, and economic. City Hall investment also creates a triple bottom line. When we conserve water, save energy, and recycle, we contribute to the city's environmental bottom line and health bottom line. When our residents, businesses, and government work together as good stewards of our city, we contribute to the community's social bottom line. And of course, environmental action is good for the economic bottom line of the city as well. Another business in the plan, B&R Stores, is installing LED lighting in grocery coolers. Jane Raybould is the vice president of B&R Stores. You may know her as a member of the City Council. Jane's business experience, though, is why she is a strong advocate for LED streetlights. She knows LED technology. She knows it's saving money in her business, and it can save money for taxpayers as well. The economic bottom line is why the plan calls for increasing the use of renewable and alternative fuels in the city fleet. Electricity and compressed and renewable natural gas are healthier for the environment and save big dollars over the cost of gasoline and diesel fuel. These are just a few of the examples in the plan of how investing in the environment pays off, whether you focus on ecological stewardship or if you focus on an efficient city hall. Keeping Lincoln cleaner and greener while improving the economic bottom line, however, cannot be accomplished by government alone. It must be a community effort, and that's why we're asking the public and Lincoln residents generally to help shape the plan. The plan presented today is a draft. The final plan will not be presented to the City Council until August. In the meantime, we will hold an online public comment period. A site has been established so that Lincoln residents can review the plan, so they can ask questions, and so they can let city leaders know their thoughts. All of you in the community can reach the comment page by going to lincoln.ne.gov and typing in the keyword LEAP. A community open house will be held at Gear Library on Wednesday, July 26th from 5 to 7:30 on the plan. My notes don't say 5 p.m., but I think it's 5 p.m. Right, Rick? But we want people to meet with city staff and have the opportunity to learn more about the plan. The comment period altogether will last about a month, and afterward the plan will be revised based on that community input. A final version of the document will be offered as a resolution for consideration by the City Council sometime in August. Lincoln has a long history of environmental stewardship. Well before the danger of climate change drove communities to considering sustainability and climate action plans, Lincoln citizens and government officials were actively working to protect and enhance the unique environmental and cultural characteristics of our own community. We have much to be proud of, and I am thankful for the efforts of all our citizens and our business leaders who support initiatives that produce real economic and environmental improvements. We are doing things right here in Lincoln. So I'm here today with my city council colleagues and with Dan Duncan to support the plan. I'm grateful for their leadership on this issue, and I'm looking forward to their comments as well, starting with Councilman Carl Eskridge.
Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership. Thank you for your staff, all the department heads who are here today. Thank you for all that you're doing. But most of all, thank you for community members, those who are in the trenches working on LES issues, working on trails, working on agriculture, all the things that make our city work. Thank you for that involvement. There are two things that I just want to touch on today. First of all is, appropriately, that topic of urban agriculture. At the University of Georgia, they have an urban agriculture department. You know, it seems to me that being Nebraska, that's something we could really easily do. In Atlanta, they promote agriculture, and they have, for a promotion, they call it Aglanta, okay? There's a community about 45 miles south of Atlanta called Saran Bay. Saran Bay is a new community. It has built out. There are over 1,000 residents who live in this community, and why do they live there? It's because of the common ground they have in the middle of their city. It's not a park, it's not a golf course, it's a farm. It's a farm in the middle of their city. That's what has brought people together in that community. Now we're doing some things here. We're doing some really good things here, and want to thank Community Crops for all that they're doing to help promote agriculture within our city, where people that don't have access to putting a garden in their backyard have a place where they can go and do that and receive some technical assistance in growing their garden. Also want to point to my friend Tim Renna for what he has done in the Holly Hamlet, and a group of neighbors who have come together and kind of given up their backyards in lieu of having a common garden that serves them and some others as well, in addition to some rabbits. And squirrels and a fox, I think. So, but that's what we need to do. We need to see more of that and on a grander scale. So this plan has in place a way for us to utilize some of the land in our community that we're not utilizing, or maybe is in grass or weeds now, as farm ground. And for this to be a commercial venture, for people to actually make money raising crops, raising vegetables, things that we can eat. They can be sold to grocery stores, they can be sold to restaurants, they can be sold to individuals. Something that I think Lincoln hopefully will do, and this plan will help us to get there. The second thing I want to say, and it's great that we're here at this location on Innovation Campus, because we really are on the banks not far away from Salt Creek. Lincoln was settled about 160 years ago. And the reason why people came to this community was because of salt. And Salt Creek is a part of that. And one of the downsides of that is flooding. Salt Creek, over the history, the 160 years of this community, has continually flooded and devastated the community. Individuals still who live in flood-prone areas feel that difficulty, and their homes oftentimes are seriously damaged and destroyed. So a part of this plan is also to look at that, to see what we can do to try to resolve this problem of Salt Creek that Lincoln has always had, to make land more useful in the current floodplain, to help to store water in other places, maybe when it is dry, like we're seeing now, so that some of that water can be released. So these are just a couple of the things and the many things that this plan presents. I'm excited. I'm really excited about what this means for us. And again, want to thank the mayor and his staff for your leadership in this great idea.
Lyria.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Carl, and thank you, everybody, for being here. We're saving a little energy in my house right now. The air conditioning went out last night. I don't know if that makes us more environmentally friendly, but it definitely makes us more cranky. I'm really happy to be here today. I wanted to just touch on this issue of heat. Most of the times we get pretty excited about breaking records, especially here in Husker Nation, where we're so proud. We love to lead the country in the number of academic All-Americans and have a record number of sellouts at Memorial Stadium. But there are definitely some records that we would be wise to stop shattering. 10 of the Earth's warmest years on record have happened in the last 2 decades. 2016 was the hottest year on record, having just broken the record set by 2015. These rising temperatures are altering our climate, and the impacts range from droughts, weather events, and disrupted ecosystems to rising sea levels and ocean acidification. So far, the visible impacts right here closer to home in Nebraska include a change in the length of our growing season and greater variability in temperature and precipitation. Looking to the future, UNL climate researchers project that in Nebraska, by the year 2100, our summers will have 13 to 25 more days over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll have 20 to 40 more nights that are above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And we will see our soil moisture decrease by 5 to 10%. These experts also project reduced stream flows in the rivers that irrigate our crops and provide our drinking water. They anticipate increases in the number and intensity of severe weather events. Now, with forecasts like these that threaten our ag economy and everyone's comfort and safety and security, the sensible thing to do, the responsible thing to do, is to adapt. We need to stop breaking these climate records and instead go on record with our willingness to act. Now, we should act and adapt because the worst impacts of climate change are not inevitable. With environmental action plans, like the one being announced today, we can mitigate the risks that climate change poses to our economy, our environment, and our quality of life. Communities all over the Midwest are taking this challenge seriously, and you can just look at the other cities in the Big Ten Conference to see this. Bloomington, College Park, Ann Arbor, East Lansing, Columbus, Champaign, Evanston, Minneapolis, and Madison, they all have climate action plans in place already. Iowa City, State College, West Lafayette, and St. Paul are all developing their official plans right now. New Brunswick, New Jersey, and Lincoln, Nebraska are the only 2 cities in the Big Ten that have yet to make a formal commitment to creating a plan, until now. I'm glad that Lincoln is joining our sister cities. What we do here at home matters. It's the only way we can have a local and direct impact. This Lincoln Environmental Action Plan will have that direct local impact because it presents measurable goals to strive for, both in the near term and the long term. It charts a course for our city to increase our energy efficiency, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, protect the health and prosperity of our residents, and become even better stewards of our natural resources for future generations. Even so, I want to assure the public that each and every policy initiative that comes about as a result will be thoroughly vetted by the council for the cost and return on investment. As a member of your council and someone who cares a lot about the numbers, I know how crucial that is to this plan's success. And equally crucial to this plan's success is hearing from a lot of people. Many community members, many of whom I see today here in this room, have collaborated with the city to shape this plan. And over the next month-long period of public comment and during the City Council's eventual public hearing in August, I hope many more people will do the same. We want a constructive public dialogue on this plan. We will have more success implementing its goals if we hear from more people, if they step forward and share their ideas and offer their input. And ideas and input from every corner of our city count. We are all drinking the same water, we are all breathing the same air, and we are all calling this same patch of ground, Lincoln, our home. We all have a real stake in this. It would be fantastic if we could shatter the record for public comment with all the people who weigh in on how our community should adapt to our changing environment. We want to hear from all of our neighbors on how best to preserve and enhance our natural resources, the local economy, and our quality of life that make this city so great. This is a grand opportunity for everyone in Lincoln to help develop the local solutions that respond to one of the biggest challenges, most important challenges of our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Dan?
Well, thanks, Mayor, and thanks for allowing Innovation Campus to not only be the site for this unveiling of the Environmental Action Plan, but also allowing me to speak and share a few of the things that we're doing on Innovation Campus that are contained in the plan already. When we first were looking at how do we create a research park, you know, the critical element around that is how do you really recruit talent? And we looked at a lot of different issues, and well, I won't go into everything that we've done, but environmental sustainability, social responsibility is a difference maker in recruiting businesses and in recruiting especially millennial talent that businesses are seeking right now. So we partnered with the city, as the mayor talked about, on the centralized renewable energy system. So when a lot of people in Lincoln flush their toilets and take a shower, we use the byproduct of that water as a heat sink. It works like geothermal and helps heat and cool our buildings. The cool you feel in this building now is because of that system. That system by itself reduces our building's carbon footprints by about 50%. You'll notice pink lights in our greenhouse. These are LED greenhouse lights that we're able to tune the light spectrum into exactly what the plant needs and not throw off excess heat and use energy throwing light spectrum that they can't use. Recycling was incredibly important to us. So from the beginning, we created a 3-stream recycling program. So through a partnership with Prairie Land Dairy, they collect all of our organic material on the campus and compost it with their dairy manure. That composting keeps their nitrogen from volatilizing as ammonia, makes their compost more valuable because it has more nitrogen, and it provides a waste stream for us that doesn't end up in the landfill. Our goal is 85% of our waste stream going through that composting plan, 10% can and bottle recycling, and 5% to the landfill. All of our buildings on Innovation Campus have to meet at minimum LEED Silver designs in our smart buildings. So we can heat and cool them remotely and things. So we do daylight harvesting with our lights. Our new building, if you look to the north when you leave, you'll see a big pile of dirt. Hopefully it starts stripping any day. But that building, we plan a community garden at the corner, actually over the easement where those crest lines run. We figure that's a really good use of that rather than planting lawn. And thanks to our partner Spreetail, we will be part of the bike share program here in Lincoln. So these are just a few of the things that we're actually doing that are contained in the plan. We want to help be a leading example in the community of good environmental stewardship, and thank everyone for attending, and thank you again, Mayor, for having this unveil of the action plan at Innovation Campus.
Thank you again for hosting us. All right, we'll open it up to questions.
For the initiatives outlined in this plan, what is the target year? Is it 2030 as, is that what would you like some of these goals to be accomplished, or what's the target year?
Frank, do you have is there a target year at the end of it?
Frank, you introduce yourself.
I mean,
I'm Frank Ularek, Sustainability and Compliance Administrator in the Mayor's Office. We have some varying targets, starting with 2025 on energy and 2030. They're just simply targets right now, putting the stake in the ground. We'll adjust them, review them on an annual basis or biannual, whatever the case might be. But pretty much 2030 is what we're looking at this point.
So overall, you're like to have some of these in place or put the 5 meter. Is that accurate?
Pardon?
So overall, you like to have some of these goals and initiatives in place by 2030. Is that?
Yes, absolutely. Some are shorter term in the next couple of years, and again, 2025 and 2030 are our milestone years, I would say.
I don't look out so far into the future. From my perspective, it's all about getting things done. And we will take these things one after another as fast as we can, understanding all along that this needs to be approved by the public. But if the public is on board, we will keep moving ahead as quickly as we can and hopefully get done long before those outlined deadlines.
There weren't the goals increasing recycling rate 50% by 2030 with comprehensive residential and commercial recycling plan. But how do you plan to get Lincoln actually more recycling conscious?
Well, we've spent a long time, as you know, discussing recycling over the last couple of years. And I continue to believe that the path that we set out at that time was the best course for Lincoln going into the immediate future. We didn't have as broad a support as we would have liked, and so, as you know, cardboard, an education program fundamentally, and a cardboard ban was put into place and will play out over this next year. As we watch that proceed, if it does well, if the people of the city if they're happy with the way this is going, we will well at that time move forward with the other parts of the plan. Pardon me? Which would be the paper bans. But that's off into the future, and it's contingent upon continuing public support. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Is there any estimated cost to get some of these things going, or how much would this cost?
You know, as we pick up on these projects one by one, we will have the best kind of cost information that we can get. Some of them have already been examined to some extent. Some of them have been fairly closely examined. The Emerald Ash Borer, we know what we anticipate our costs to be. So we'll just move forward with the cost estimates we have there, probably with some further refinements, but we'll take it on a project-by-project basis. Yeah, Charlie.
Item number 4 here, improve the energy efficiency of Lincoln's new homes and buildings. Are you talking about building codes that require things like more insulation or different walls and that type of thing? And if so, what kind of goals are you setting?
Yeah, well, as you know, dealing with energy on the public side is part of the problem. Dealing with energy use on the private side is also part of the problem. And private uses far exceed public uses. And so we do intend to address through building codes some of the questions with regard to energy that have been brought up in the past. We haven't sculpted out the shape of that proposition. We haven't conferred enough with the public on it at this point in time, but it is on the agenda.
So you don't have any specific standards?
No, there's no one specific item within that array of possibilities that we're focused on at the moment.
Is there a general idea, though, that as you increase the energy efficiency of homes, that you also increase the cost of homes? Do you anticipate any pushback on that?
Well, again, we're going at this project by project. So at this point, it doesn't make any sense to talk about what unknown costs will be and what unknown advantages will be. But we'll be looking at the advice of national and international people who have worked through these processes, and on the basis of what information is available, have a conversation with the public in Lincoln with respect to what they think makes sense now. But I think it's fair to say that we are interested in energy efficiency across the economy.
I noticed that many of these things are things that the city's been doing throughout your administration. And so is this just making your public done out of these like starting the recycling, probably 80 to 90% of these are. So is this just, public?
No, there are new things and there are new phases to older things. Greenlight Lincoln, for example, has a huge phase 2 and 3 to it as opposed to what's been done already. And there are a number of items like that. We've done some work with LED lighting, but we haven't finished it by any means. And so this is an action plan which includes following up on action that has been begun, and as well as envisioning action on new matters. So it's a mixture of things, but all of them constitute items that we consider unfinished business.
And will many of them have a policy, ordinance change to them?
Will they have what?
An ordinance change, a policy change, something that will actually go to the council?
Oh, I think most of them will, Nancy. I haven't looked at the list from that perspective. But most certainly, when the council gets the final action plan, it will pay attention to how things get done and who's required to approve and how much input there's been from the public. So I don't think you have to worry about sufficient transparency and review of these matters.
Will that final action plan come in August, or is that something that comes step by step along the way?
It's something that comes step by step along the way.
What do you envision
Charlie?
as the electric vehicle infrastructure?
Pardon me?
What do you envision as the electric vehicle infrastructure how extensive do you do that?
Well, I think I'm speaking for me personally now, and I think it's fair to say that there will be a great deal of discussion on that particular item, as there probably will be about most of them. But obviously, there are important questions with regard to whose responsibility it should be to provide infrastructure. I think we need to be conservative at this point in time in the sense that as we know, technologies are superior. The role of government ought to be to encourage those technologies, and those technologies are encouraged in the matter of electric cars by starting to provide some charging stations in the event that there are none there. Oftentimes in emerging industries, the government has stepped in, railroads, just almost anything you can look at historically. The government has provided some impetus to wade in to new areas that are then taken over by the private sector who provide the infrastructure. And I'm guessing that that's the way it'll work in this industry. I don't know enough about it, Charlie, at this point in time, but I do know that there are people with all kinds of opinions, and that's what we're here to do, to sort through those opinions, acknowledge the technologies that are coming, and prepare for their advent.
Prevent flooding and improve volumes on water runoff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's designed to be a broad discussion of stormwater generally and how it's dealt with, how other communities deal with it, and whether as an ongoing matter that there should be some ongoing infrastructure for both building and maintaining and operating floodwater and stormwater. This, as you know from your coverage of the legislature, was a whole infrastructure basically required by the federal government, and over a long period of years has been increasingly, the government has been adamant about taking care of stormwater problems. So we need to think through again how we do this, given, for example, the loss of $300,000 of ongoing money from state grants, the unreliability of state grants, the possible disruption of the program by an adverse vote of the people on bonds relating to stormwater. It's an ongoing matter that we need to give some more thought to.
Any of these 5 areas, is there any particular that is most concerning to the city that you want to, I guess, get a handle on, or
Which one?
any of these 5 areas that are outlined, is there one that's really concerning or problematic currently?
Well, we consider them all problematic or they wouldn't be there. But it's a fair question. I guess in my own mind, I don't have a particular one that I'm focused on. Anyone that the community would latch onto and push us to advance, I would be anxious to advance. The emerald ash borer problem is upon us. It has a sense of urgency to it, and I'm hoping that'll get addressed fairly soon on.
So there isn't one that's really like, I guess, that really sticks out as being concerning, the amount of energy that's being needed for not conserving water as like, but there's nothing that really sticks out.
Well, I think, in terms of money that can be saved, I feel very, very comfortable with the LED lighting. And I'd like to get that in place across the city in all our street lights and in all our lighting in public facilities, because I know that that has a rate of return that's going to be very profitable for the city and therefore for the community. I'm sure we will attach ourselves first to those things that most clearly have an economic return as well as the other returns. So some of these things will await the further evolution of technologies, but we think they're all worth dealing with now.